Every man and woman carries within them the seed of greatness, yet few ever water that seed with discipline, faith, and persistence. The truth is simple. Success does not come by accident. It comes by design. To become the best at anything, one must first master the mind, for the mind is the workshop of destiny. It is the birthplace of every triumph and every failure. Those who rise to greatness are not those with extraordinary gifts, but those with extraordinary determination. When you decide that average is no longer enough, when you demand of yourself the highest standard, you unlock a power far greater than talent alone. The world does not reward wishful thinking. It rewards definite purpose, burning desire, and unwavering action. Tonight, I will share with you 10 powerful ways to rise above mediocrity and claim mastery in any field you choose. These principles are not theories. They are laws, as certain as gravity. And if you apply them with faith and persistence, nothing can prevent you from becoming the best at anything your heart desires. Definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. Without a clear, burning aim, no man can rise above mediocrity, for a ship without a compass is at the mercy of the winds and tides. The world is full of men and women drifting from one pursuit to another, never deciding with firmness what they truly desire, and as a result, they scatter their energy so widely that nothing lasting is ever accomplished. To become the best at anything, you must begin with the decision that this one thing shall be yours, that you will give to it your thought, your effort, your time, and your very soul until you stand as a master. This is not a vague wish, nor a fleeting desire, but a definite choice stamped upon your mind so deeply that it governs every action you take. When you fix your mind on a definite purpose, you activate powers within yourself that otherwise lie dormant. The human mind is like a lens. Diffuse the light and it illuminates little, but concentrate it to a single point and it can cut through steel. So it is with your energy and attention. Scatter them across many half-hearted attempts and you will remain ordinary. But gather them into one burning objective and the world cannot deny you mastery. Great men in history were not those who sought to dabble in 1,000 endeavors, but those who bent their will toward one consuming aim. Thomas Edison devoted his life to harnessing light and power, and in that definiteness of purpose, he brought forth inventions that transformed civilization. Andrew Carnegie resolved to master the science of steel, and he rose from poverty to become one of the world's wealthiest men. Their genius was not in talent alone, but in their refusal to be distracted by secondary ambitions. Definiteness of purpose gives direction to thought, action, and energy. The man without purpose drifts with the currents of circumstance, allowing the world to dictate his path. One day he pursues this, tomorrow he chases that, until years are wasted and his spirit grows weary with disappointment. But the man of definite aim uses circumstance as his servant, not his master. He chooses his goal and then shapes his daily actions to align with it. Every decision becomes easier, for he has a standard by which to measure it. Does this bring me closer to my purpose, or does it take me farther away? In this way, definiteness of purpose simplifies life and multiplies effectiveness. Consider the way energy functions in nature. A mighty river flowing aimlessly across the land cannot generate power, but when confined and directed, it becomes a force capable of producing electricity for millions. So too with the human mind. Left without a definite channel, thought becomes wasted, scattered, and weak. But when directed toward one great aim, it becomes irresistible. Definite purpose acts as the channel, gathering every thought, desire, and action into a single current, which in time carves through all obstacles. Definiteness of purpose also awakens faith. When a man knows exactly what he wants and holds that vision constantly in his mind, he begins to believe in its attainment. Faith grows not from vague wishes but from definite plans. The mind, once fixed upon a goal, searches for means to achieve it, attracting ideas, opportunities, and resources that otherwise would have passed unnoticed. This is the mysterious but undeniable law of attraction. That which you dwell upon with intensity and belief tends to manifest in your life. The man with no purpose attracts nothing, but the man with a definite purpose draws to himself the people, circumstances, and opportunities that align with his vision. Furthermore, definiteness of purpose gives courage. The uncertain man hesitates, fearing to act because he knows not where he is going. His indecision paralyzes him, and opportunities slip away while he debates endlessly with himself. But the man of definite purpose acts with boldness, for he has chosen his direction, and every step he takes, however small, moves him closer to his goal. Even when he errs, he learns quickly because his aim is clear, and mistakes become stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. Confidence grows from knowing where you are going, and the world yields more readily to the man who moves with confidence. The great enemy of definiteness is distraction. In every age, men are tempted by the lure of many pursuits, each promising success, each demanding attention. But mastery requires sacrifice. To be the best at anything, you must say no to countless other things. You cannot pour yourself into one endeavor if you allow your time and energy to be consumed by trivialities. The man of purpose does not waste hours in idle conversation, meaningless pleasures, or pursuits that do not serve his goal. He understands that every moment is precious. Every action must be weighed against the one great aim he has set for himself. Discipline becomes easier when purpose is clear, for then sacrifice is not loss but investment. Definiteness of purpose must be written upon the heart, not merely upon paper. It must become an obsession, a burning desire that occupies your thoughts day and night. When the aim is weak, obstacles appear large, and discouragement creeps in at the first setback, but when the purpose burns with intensity, no obstacle can long withstand it. The man who knows what he wants and refuses to quit will eventually find a way, for persistence fueled by definite aim is a power no force on earth can permanently resist. Even failure becomes a servant to the man of definite purpose. Each defeat carries within it the seed of an equal or greater lesson, and because his eye remains fixed on the ultimate goal, he uses failure as a teacher rather than a master. He does not abandon his purpose when progress is slow. He adapts, learns, and presses forward. Definite purpose transforms failure from a dead end into a detour, guiding him toward the path that leads to mastery. To cultivate definiteness of purpose, one must begin with honest self-examination. What do you truly desire above all else? What vision stirs your soul and ignites your spirit? Until you answer this with clarity, you will wander aimlessly. Once answered, you must write it, affirm it, visualize it, and remind yourself of it daily. Plant it so firmly in your subconscious mind that every thought and action become aligned with it. Share it only with those who support and strengthen your resolve, for doubt from others can weaken your conviction. Guard it as you would guard a treasure, for it is the blueprint of your destiny. A definite purpose does not mean a narrow or selfish aim. The highest purposes are those that serve others as well as oneself, for in lifting others you rise higher yourself. The man who seeks mastery only for his own gain may find success, but it will be hollow and fleeting. But the man who uses his mastery to enrich the lives of others builds a legacy that endures beyond his lifetime. Purpose combined with service creates greatness that no time or circumstance can erase. In every field, whether art, science, business, or personal growth, the men and women who become the best are those who begin with a definite purpose. They do not wait for chance or hope for luck. They decide, they commit, and they dedicate themselves with all their power to that one consuming aim. Their clarity attracts opportunity, their persistence conquers obstacles, and their faith sustains them through every trial. The power of discipline is the foundation upon which all mastery is built. Talent, intelligence, and opportunity may give you an advantage, but without discipline, these gifts are squandered. Discipline is the ability to govern yourself, to direct your thoughts and actions in alignment with your purpose, regardless of circumstances, temptations, or emotions. It is the invisible bridge between desire and achievement, the force that transforms intentions into accomplishments. Every man who has risen to greatness has done so not by chance, but by mastering the art of self-control, and every man who has failed has done so because he allowed himself to be ruled by impulse, distraction, or weakness of will. Discipline begins in the mind. Before it becomes a habit of action, it is a habit of thought. The undisciplined mind drifts aimlessly, entertained by every distraction, enslaved by every passing desire, and weakened by every excuse. But the disciplined mind is trained to focus, to resist temptation, to remain steadfast in the pursuit of its chosen aim. When you command your mind, you command your life, for all action flows first from thought. A man who has not learned to discipline his mind will never discipline his body, his time, or his habits, because the mind is the master of them all. The importance of discipline can be observed in the smallest acts of daily living. Rising at a set hour, maintaining health through proper habits, dedicating time to study, practice, or work. These may seem insignificant, yet they are the very stones from which greatness is built. The man who cannot rise on time, who cannot resist indulgence, who cannot persist in study, will never achieve mastery. Discipline requires consistency, and consistency is the mother of excellence. One great effort may produce a moment of success, but only repeated effort produces mastery. The athlete becomes the best not because he trains once with intensity, but because he disciplines himself to train every day, whether he feels like it or not. The scholar becomes the best not by reading one book, but by dedicating himself daily to study until knowledge accumulates like drops of water, forming a mighty ocean. Discipline, then, is the habit of doing what must be done, whether it is convenient or not, whether the mood is favorable or not, until excellence becomes second nature. Discipline is also the power to deny oneself. To master any craft, you must sacrifice pleasure in the present for greatness in the future. The undisciplined man seeks immediate gratification. He eats excessively, he spends recklessly, he indulges in idle pleasures. Yet he pays for it later in weakness, poverty, and regret. The disciplined man denies himself small pleasures in the moment to secure greater rewards later. He understands the law of cause and effect, that every action has consequences, and that delayed gratification produces results of greater value than instant indulgence. This self-denial is not suffering but strength, for it gives him freedom from the chains of impulse and prepares him to endure the hardships that mastery demands. Without discipline, persistence is impossible. Every great goal requires time, effort, and sacrifice, and the path is filled with obstacles. The undisciplined man begins with enthusiasm, but falters at the first sign of difficulty. He tells himself he will try again tomorrow, yet tomorrow he finds another excuse until days become months and dreams wither in neglect. The disciplined man continues regardless of difficulty, for he has trained himself to obey his higher purpose rather than his momentary feelings. Discipline converts desire into habit, and habit makes progress inevitable. When effort becomes automatic, when action is taken daily without debate, mastery is only a matter of time. Discipline extends beyond personal habits. It governs how a man uses his most precious resource, time. Time is life itself, and the undisciplined waste it as though it were infinite, scattering it on idle talk, meaningless distractions, and tasks of no importance. The disciplined man guards his time with vigilance, for he knows that every wasted hour is gone forever. He schedules his day around his purpose, dedicating hours to practice, study, or work, and refusing to let trivialities steal his focus. He understands that mastery requires thousands of hours of disciplined effort, and each day well spent brings him closer to his goal. Time management is not about doing more, but about doing what matters most with consistency and intensity. The power of discipline is most evident in moments of temptation. It is easy to be disciplined when circumstances are favorable, but true mastery is revealed when the path becomes difficult. The disciplined man faces fatigue, boredom, and frustration, yet he continues because he has trained himself to obey principle rather than impulse. He does not surrender to discouragement, nor does he allow failure to shatter his resolve. He knows that every test of discipline strengthens him, that each time he resists temptation, he grows in power until self-control becomes a source of pride and confidence. The undisciplined man, by contrast, weakens with every surrender until he becomes a slave to habit, unable to control himself even when he wishes to change. Discipline is also the key to building character. It cultivates patience, humility, and resilience. The man who disciplines himself to work steadily without recognition learns patience. The man who disciplines himself to obey rules and respect others learns humility. The man who disciplines himself to endure hardship without complaint learns resilience. These qualities, born of discipline, prepare him for leadership, for the world trusts and follows only those who have first mastered themselves. A man without discipline cannot command respect, for how can he lead others when he cannot govern himself? The relationship between discipline and freedom is often misunderstood. Many believe discipline restricts freedom, but in truth it creates it. The undisciplined man is a prisoner of his desires, his habits, and his environment. He cannot say no to temptation, cannot control his time, cannot direct his own life. The disciplined man, by contrast, is free. He chooses his habits, controls his actions, and directs his destiny. He is not at the mercy of impulse or circumstance. He governs himself, and by doing so, he gains mastery over his life. Discipline, therefore, is the path to true freedom, for only the man who can control himself is truly free to pursue greatness. To cultivate discipline, one must begin with small acts and build gradually. Attempting great discipline without preparation often leads to failure, but training in small matters builds strength for larger challenges. Rising early, keeping promises, practicing daily, saving money, exercising restraint in speech. These simple acts of self-control build the muscles of discipline. Over time, they form habits that govern greater areas of life. Just as a strong body is built by repeated exercise, so a disciplined character is built by repeated acts of self-control. No man is born disciplined. It is developed through effort, repetition, and persistence. Discipline is not a punishment, but a gift. It transforms weakness into strength, confusion into clarity, and dreams into reality. It is the unseen force behind every great achievement, the common denominator of all success. The man who disciplines himself can learn any skill, master any field, and overcome any obstacle, because discipline ensures steady progress, and steady progress guarantees ultimate mastery. Persistence against all odds is the unwavering determination to continue moving forward when every circumstance seems to conspire against you. It is the refusal to quit when others have surrendered, the iron will that drives a man to rise after every fall, and the courage to press on in the face of obstacles that would crush the spirit of the weak. No man has ever become the best at anything without persistence, for the path to mastery is littered with failures, disappointments, and setbacks. Talent can give you a head start, opportunity can open a door, but only persistence can carry you through the storms of adversity to the heights of achievement. Persistence is not mere stubbornness, nor is it blind determination without reason. It is intelligent effort repeated without ceasing until success is won. It is fueled by faith, strengthened by desire, and guided by purpose. The man who persists does not ask if his goal can be achieved. He asks only how long and by what means. He sees obstacles not as signs of defeat, but as challenges meant to be overcome, as lessons to be learned on the road to greatness. The undisciplined man falters when the road grows rough, but the persistent man grows stronger with each test, for he knows that resistance builds power, and that persistence is the furnace in which greatness is forged. History provides endless examples of persistence in action. Thomas Edison, in his quest to create the electric light, failed more than 10,000 times, yet he refused to call them failures. Each defeat was but a lesson, bringing him closer to success. Abraham Lincoln faced countless defeats in politics, business, and personal life before rising to become one of the greatest leaders the world has known. These men were not spared hardship. Rather, they triumphed because they persisted when others would have abandoned hope. The world remembers not the many who began with enthusiasm but quit at the first sign of difficulty. It remembers only the few who continued until victory was inevitable. The power of persistence lies in its ability to transform defeat into progress. Every failure carries within it valuable knowledge, but only the persistent man extracts its lesson. He does not allow defeat to destroy his spirit. Instead, he asks what it has to teach him and uses it to adjust his strategy. Failure becomes his ally, pointing out what does not work and narrowing the path toward what does. To the persistent man, defeat is never permanent. It is a temporary detour on the road to success. This mindset separates him from the masses who allow one setback to extinguish their dream. Persistence is fueled by a burning desire. No man can persist in the face of endless hardship unless his desire for success is greater than his fear of failure. Desire gives energy to persistence. It keeps the vision alive in the darkest hours. When difficulties multiply, when friends and family advise surrender, when the world seems indifferent to your effort, only desire can keep you pressing forward. The man who lacks desire gives up quickly, but the man whose heart burns with a definite aim cannot be dissuaded, for he has already chosen his destiny, and nothing short of attainment will satisfy him. Another secret of persistence is faith. Faith is the inner conviction that your purpose will be realized, though the means may not yet be visible. It is the belief that unseen forces are working with you when you act with determination. Faith keeps hope alive when reason argues for surrender. The man of persistence believes that somewhere beyond his struggle lies success, and this belief gives him the courage to continue when logic alone would say quit. Faith and persistence together form an invincible combination, for they provide both the vision of the goal and the strength to endure until it is reached. Persistence also requires adaptability. To persist does not mean to repeat the same actions endlessly without reflection. It means to continue striving while learning and adjusting along the way. The persistent man tries one method, and if it fails, he adapts and tries another, but he never abandons his purpose. His determination is unyielding, but his methods are flexible. This intelligent persistence ensures that effort is not wasted and that each attempt brings him closer to success. Blind stubbornness may exhaust a man, but wise persistence ensures victory. Obstacles are inevitable for every man who seeks mastery. Financial hardship, lack of opportunity, criticism, and even betrayal may all rise against you. The undisciplined man sees these as signs that his goal is impossible and turns back in defeat. The persistent man views them as tests of his worthiness, as opportunities to prove his dedication. Each obstacle he overcomes strengthens his spirit and prepares him for even greater challenges ahead. By persisting through difficulty, he develops qualities of resilience, patience, and endurance that make him unshakable. These qualities are the hallmarks of greatness and cannot be developed in comfort. They are forged only in struggle. Persistence often requires standing alone. Many will abandon you when success is distant, offering only doubt and discouragement. The man who persists must sometimes walk in solitude, sustained only by his vision and determination. Yet this solitude builds strength, for it teaches him independence of thought and reliance on his own inner resources. Those who need constant approval from others cannot persist, but the man who knows his purpose and believes in it deeply can endure the loneliness of the long road to mastery. Time itself rewards persistence. Most men overestimate what they can achieve in a short time and underestimate what can be achieved through steady effort over years. The man of persistence understands that mastery is a long journey, and he commits to it without impatience. Day by day, through repeated effort, he builds skill, knowledge, and strength, until one day he awakens to find himself among the best. Others may marvel at his sudden success, but he knows it was not sudden at all. It was the result of persistence compounded over time. Persistence also conquers fear, fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of poverty, and fear of ridicule destroy the dreams of countless men. Yet persistence acts as a shield against fear, for each small victory in the face of fear weakens its power. The man who persists learns that fear loses its hold once it is confronted, and the habit of persistence makes him fearless. He no longer dreads failure, for he has learned that failure is not the end but a stepping stone. He no longer fears criticism, for he is focused on his purpose, not the opinions of others. Persistence frees him from fear and gives him the courage to pursue greatness without hesitation. To cultivate persistence, one must begin by deciding firmly upon a definite purpose. A weak aim cannot sustain persistence. Once the goal is chosen, the next step is to take action daily, regardless of feelings or circumstances. Build the habit of continued effort by refusing to quit until the task is done. Surround yourself with influences that encourage persistence, books, mentors, companions who share your vision, and remove those that weaken resolve. Guard against discouragement, for it is the enemy of persistence. Train yourself to see every setback as temporary and every obstacle as a challenge to be overcome. Each act of persistence strengthens the will until it becomes unbreakable. The man who persists against all odds develops an indomitable spirit that cannot be defeated. He may be delayed, he may be tested, he may be opposed, but he cannot be stopped. The world eventually yields to the man who refuses to yield to it. While others abandon their dreams in despair, he presses on, and in the end he stands victorious, not because his path was easy, but because his persistence made him unstoppable. The mastermind principle is the secret force behind nearly every great achievement in history. No man, no matter how gifted or determined, has ever risen to greatness entirely alone. Every empire, every invention, every enterprise that has stood the test of time was built by the combined effort of minds working in harmony toward a single purpose. The man who would become the best at anything must understand that his individual power is limited, but when he aligns himself with other like-minded individuals, his power becomes multiplied beyond measure. The mastermind is the coordination of knowledge, skill, energy, and enthusiasm between two or more people who are united in a definite purpose. It is more than cooperation, more than teamwork. It is the creation of a third, invisible mind that springs from the union of many, producing ideas, strength, and power far greater than the sum of its parts. The lone individual may possess talent, but talent alone cannot compete with the organized knowledge and support of a group. The mastermind principle has been demonstrated in every field of human endeavor. Great generals relied on councils of war, great kings had advisors, great inventors had collaborators, Great businessmen built networks of trusted allies. Thomas Edison, often thought of as a solitary genius, in reality worked with a team of experts whose combined talents allowed his vision to become practical reality. Andrew Carnegie built one of the greatest fortunes in history by surrounding himself with men whose knowledge of steel production, finance, and management exceeded his own. He openly admitted that his success was not the product of his individual genius, but of his ability to organize and direct the genius of others. This is the essence of the mastermind principle, to recognize that you cannot be the best by yourself, but with the combined knowledge and resources of others, you can achieve what seems impossible alone. The power of the mastermind extends beyond the sharing of information. It creates a spiritual and mental harmony, a force that stimulates the mind to higher levels of thought. When two or more people meet with a common purpose, each contributes not only his own knowledge, but also his enthusiasm, courage, and faith. The combined energy lifts every individual to a greater height than he could reach alone. Ideas are born, refined, and expanded in ways that one mind could never conceive. The environment of a mastermind group is charged with inspiration, and in that environment, ordinary men achieve extraordinary things. The principle works because it aligns with natural law. In nature, power is created when forces combine in harmony. A single drop of water is weak, but countless drops form rivers capable of carving valleys. A single spark is small, but countless sparks together create fire that warms or destroys cities. Likewise, one mind is limited, but the union of minds working together in perfect harmony creates a power that can reshape the world. The mastermind principle channels the power of harmony, and with it, obstacles that appear insurmountable collapse before the united force of many. The key to creating a mastermind alliance lies in unity of purpose. The individuals involved must be bound by a definite aim, a clear goal that unites their efforts. Without this, there is no harmony, only conflict. A group of brilliant minds without unity will waste their energy in argument, jealousy, and division. But when the purpose is clear and shared, differences in knowledge, skill, and temperament become strengths rather than weaknesses. Each person contributes what he does best, and the combined effort drives the group toward success. Trust and loyalty are also essential. A mastermind alliance cannot function where there is suspicion, selfishness, or betrayal. The individuals involved must have confidence in one another, knowing that their efforts are respected and their contributions valued. This mutual trust creates an atmosphere of safety where ideas can be shared freely without fear of criticism or theft. In such an atmosphere, creativity flourishes and the group becomes far more effective than any individual could be. The man who wishes to become the best at anything must therefore cultivate alliances. He must seek out those who share his vision, who possess strengths that complement his own, and who are committed to the same definite purpose. He must be willing to give as well as receive, to contribute his knowledge, effort, and support to others, knowing that the return will be multiplied through the power of the master mind. To hoard knowledge, to insist on working alone, is to limit oneself to personal capacity. To share knowledge and combine it with others is to tap into limitless capacity. Persistence, discipline, and purpose gain exponential power when combined with the mastermind principle. The man of purpose may struggle alone, but when he surrounds himself with allies who believe in his vision, his determination is reinforced. When his discipline falters, their encouragement sustains him. When obstacles rise, their combined strength overcomes them. The master mind is the safeguard against despair, the antidote to loneliness, the guarantee that effort will not be wasted. No great achievement has ever been won in isolation, and no man who refuses cooperation can expect to reach the highest levels of mastery. The benefits of a mastermind alliance extend beyond material success. It sharpens the mind, strengthens character, and deepens relationships. In such an alliance, one learns humility, for he sees the value of other minds. He learns patience, for cooperation requires tolerance and understanding. He learns generosity, for true alliances demand the sharing of ideas, credit, and effort. These qualities not only advance achievement, but also elevate the individual into a person of influence and respect. The man who masters the art of building alliances multiplies his opportunities. Every member of the alliance has his own network, his own resources, and his own ideas, which become available to all. What might take years for one man to accomplish can be done in months through combined effort. Challenges that seem overwhelming to one are easily handled by the collective knowledge and strength of many. This is why the mastermind principle is not merely helpful, but essential for anyone who seeks to be the best. Even in the smallest endeavors, the principle applies. A student who forms a study group gains insights he would miss alone. An athlete who trains with others is pushed to levels he could not reach by himself. A businessman who surrounds himself with competent advisors avoids costly mistakes. Each example shows that the union of minds multiplies ability and reduces weakness. The mastermind principle requires intentional cultivation. It does not form by accident. One must seek out individuals who share common values and a dedication to the goal. One must invest time in building trust, in listening, in contributing value to others. The alliance must be nurtured with care, for it is as fragile as it is powerful. Discord can destroy it, but harmony can make it invincible. The greatest leaders in history were not those who commanded by force, but those who understood this principle and applied it. They brought together men of diverse skills and united them under one vision. They recognized that their personal genius, however great, was limited, but that by harnessing the genius of others, they could accomplish what would otherwise be impossible. This is why the mastermind principle is one of the most powerful tools for becoming the best at anything. It is the difference between a solitary effort that may fail and a combined effort that cannot be stopped. Greatness is never an accident. It is the deliberate result of purpose, discipline, persistence, and the alliance of powerful minds. The path to becoming the best at anything is not reserved for the gifted few, but open to every man and woman who dares to decide with definiteness, who masters himself through discipline, who refuses to quit against all odds, and who surrounds himself with the right minds that elevate him higher. These principles are timeless laws of success, as certain as the rising of the sun, and they yield their rewards to those who embrace them fully. You stand today at the threshold of mastery. The question is not whether you can become the best. The question is whether you will pay the price. Will you choose clarity over confusion, discipline over indulgence, persistence over surrender, and cooperation over isolation? If you do, no power on earth can keep you from rising to greatness. The world does not ask whether you wish to succeed. It demands whether you have the courage to decide, to act, and to persist until nothing can deny you. The choice is yours. Plant within your mind the seed of a definite purpose. Water it daily with discipline. Protect it with persistence, and surround it with the fertile soil of the mastermind. Nurture it until it grows into the towering tree of achievement. And remember, within you lies the power to become the best at anything, if only you will claim it with faith, action, and unyielding resolve.